Now, from WYDC TV, this is Big Fox News at 10.
A grim milestone in Steuben County. We've now seen more than 100 deaths from COVID-19, with many of those being connected to long-term care facilities. COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker tells us about the two most recent patients we've lost.
Steuben County now has 101 confirmed COVID-19 related deaths. 80 of those have come from long-term care facilities, nursing homes, and rehab centers, including the most two recent fatalities. A 90-year-old woman from Irwin died after a short-term rehab stay in Elkhorn. She later died in the hospital. A 78-year-old woman who lived at Absolute Care Three Rivers and Painted Post also died, marking the 101st death in Steuben County. Both of these facilities are currently dealing with COVID-19 outbreaks. Dozens of patients and employees at Elkhorn and Absolute Care have recently been diagnosed with COVID-19, and others are now in quarantine. Darlene Smith from the Steuben County Health Department says, quote, breaking 100 deaths is a marker we never anticipated when this began. We urge our community to take the rapid spread seriously so we can lessen the loss going forward. Now, Smith says while she does hear often from people in the area that most people do survive COVID-19, she wants to remind people that 5% of our local cases have still turned fatal, and that is by far too many. And keep in mind, we don't know a lot about the coronavirus and COVID-19, so there could be long-term effects for those who have been diagnosed at some point during this pandemic. Reporting for Big Fox News, I'm COVID-19 specialist Amanda Decker.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is planning to update their COVID-19 guidelines. Likely on tap, a shorter quarantine period. John Lawrence has more.
People who come in contact with someone infected with COVID-19 may soon be spending less time in quarantine.
I think this is a smart move, and it will help us.
The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention is expected to trim COVID-19 quarantine recommendations from 14 days to 7 to 10 days after exposure. Dr. Robert Redfield, the head of the CDC, informed the White House's coronavirus task force of the plan Tuesday. Two senior administration officials tell CNN.
When the 14-day quarantine was set up, it was very early into the pandemic, when we had less information.
Officials described the decision as data-driven and said it has been under review for weeks. Health experts have said most people are infectious within a week of exposure.
If one is following someone for 7 days versus 14, and then particularly if you have a negative test, that really is likely to have a much more positive impact than people who say, well, I can't do 14 days.
An Operation Warp Speed document obtained by CNN estimates the first deliveries of drug maker Pfizer's vaccine could be on December 15th. Health officials stress that people still need to wear masks, wash their hands, and keep social distance.
People just want to be done with this, but it doesn't take a break just because we're tired of it.
I'm John Lawrence reporting.
A New York City bar has been shut down and its co-owner arrested for not following state COVID-19 protocols. This was the scene outside of Max Public House on Tuesday night. The New York City Sheriff's Department showed up to shut down the establishment, but the bar's co-owner refused to leave. He was later arrested. The Staten Island bar is located in an orange zone, which means customers are not allowed inside. The business declared itself an autonomous zone last month and tried to skirt around protocols by not charging customers, asking for donations instead.
This man was arrested for trying to earn a living and pay his taxes. That is insanity.
The state has also revoked the pub's liquor license. An attorney for the co-owner says he will be charged with disorderly conduct and trespassing. Just 23 days remain until Christmas, and lawmakers remain at a stalemate over a new coronavirus relief package, despite a bipartisan effort by lawmakers for a multi-billion-dollar compromise. Ray Bogan has the latest.
Members of Congress are determined to pass a coronavirus relief package before the end of the year.
We're not going home for Christmas either and tell the people we didn't do anything.
A group of bipartisan lawmakers from both the House and Senate introduced a $908 billion relief package. It includes hundreds of billions for state and local governments and additional unemployment benefits. It would also provide $288 billion for small businesses and the Paycheck Protection Program. Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell is working to make sure Congress passes a bill President Trump is willing to sign. So even more compromise may be necessary.
I think the place to start is, are we actually making a law, or are we just making a point?
But while the rank and file are resolute, leadership is finger-pointing. Top Democrats blame Mitch McConnell.
The biggest impediment to getting an agreement is the Republican leader refusing to negotiate in a bipartisan way.
Republicans say Nancy Pelosi is in the way.
She doesn't want just a coronavirus bill. She wants a coronavirus bill that also rewrites America's immigration laws, bails out the blue states, rewrites America's election laws.
Signing a coronavirus relief bill into law could be one of the last things President Trump does in office, but his political career may not end. He hinted at a White House holiday party last night. He may run again in 2024. Ray Bogan, Fox News.
The New York City Ballet is taking a holiday tradition digital this year. You can't go to see the Nutcracker in person. It was canceled because of the pandemic, but you can stream it on Marquee TV. It'll be available December 11th through January 3rd. A 48-hour rental costs $25 in the U.S. Prices will vary internationally. The performance was filmed at the Lincoln Center last December for an upcoming Disney Plus documentary. The Nutcracker premiered in February 1954 and has been performed live by the New York City Ballet every year since, until this year. So far, New York hasn't seen a lot of snow, but it is time for drivers to get ready for the winter. Matt Kleindienst is in Corning with a few tips to stay safe on the roads this season.
Good evening. Winter is a little under 6 weeks away, and the New York State Police and AAA are reminding drivers to be cautious when driving in the snow and ice. As the southern tier prepares to see more snow in the coming weeks, state police are urging drivers to keep the roads safe for all motorists. Drivers impacted by snow are asked to leave extra time for a safe drive to your destination. State police also remind drivers to make sure that all windows and mirrors are clear of snow and to make sure you use your headlights at all times. You should also keep a spare tire as well as a jack and a wheel wrench in the event of a blown tire. While out on the road, drivers should drive slow, avoid using cruise control, and keep an eye out for all maintenance vehicles. Of course, you're urged to use your best judgment. If the driving conditions aren't safe, then you're asked to stay home. You can check out a full list of the driving tips on the New York State Police website. Reporting from Corning, Matt Kleindienst, Big Fox, WYDC.
The Steuben County Legislature voted to approve this year's inductees into the Steuben County Hall of Fame. Among that list of inductees was rock and roll icon Duane Eddy. Eddy is originally from Corning and is best known for his hit Rebel Rouser. He had 34 chart singles, produced 25 albums, and has had millions of record sales. Eddy was also inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1994. The legendary guitarist was honored by this induction.
It's really an honor, and especially coming from where I was born and raised for several years. It just was amazing, and it gives me a warm feeling in the heart for the people of Corning.
Eddy's Hall of Fame classmates include Arthur Hansen, who was a pioneer advocate for the disabled, as well as Donald Mering, the county's first director of emergency services. The Salvation Army is going big for 2020 with this massive red kettle in New York City. The organization debuted the 32-foot-tall structure in Times Square Tuesday. This is the world's largest real red kettle, with interactive features that trigger built-in LED lights and sounds when people text a donation. The Salvation Army says demand for its services has jumped since the start of the COVID-19 pandemic earlier this year. The Greater New York Division has served more than 6 million meals during that time. The kettle will be staffed by security and volunteers 24/7. 6 months ago, the Haverling High School boys soccer team had their sights set on a state title. COVID-19 might have blocked that dream, but they did still achieve many of the goals that they set at the beginning of their season. Our Zach Seminar spoke to their coach about just that.
Well, it's time to say hello and welcome in Matt Hill, the boys soccer coach at Haverling High School. I want to thank you so much for your time, Coach. The season just wrapping up a few short days ago. Boy, challenges of playing through COVID-19 had to be this high. Talk about those challenges that you experienced through the season.
Yeah, it was difficult, but it was nice to get the season in, wearing the mask the kids did well with, taking the temperature before practice. The kids were diligent, throughout the season, being smart about things and we got through.
You played 15 games. You were sectional champions. So I'm sure the kids were happy about that. I'm sure it was very rewarding to be able to play as many games as you did, because some teams didn't get to play at all.
Yeah, there's plenty of sections around the state that weren't able to have a season. So, we basically played every game like it was the last. That's an old cliche, but it really could have been, because we could have been shut down, and it was just great. We got to 15 games in.
Now, you didn't get to play in the state tournament. You knew that ahead of time, that the sectional champion was your state title, so to speak. But boy, it has to be tough knowing that you had a chance potentially to be a state champion, and that got taken away.
Yeah, a little bit, but the kids really didn't gripe about it too much. We can't be greedy in times like we're having now. Just to get into the sectional final was great, and the kids, we had a good time this year.
Matt Hill, the head boys soccer coach at Haverling High School, thank you so much for your time.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Still ahead tonight, a family is sharing their story after their 19-month-old son was diagnosed with COVID-19.
Yeah, all I can say is it's proof that it can happen to anyone. It can happen to any age.
The message they're hoping to send to people about the virus coming up.
Here's your local stock market update from Big Fox. Now, your Twin Tiers forecast from Big Fox.
Tonight's Big Fox forecast is brought to you by William Mattar. Good evening, everyone. I'm meteorologist Kim Walker with your weather update. As high pressure builds into the region, we are expecting breezy conditions initially, but we should see plenty of sunshine and dry air that will be in place for your Thursday. So finally, we get a break from any precipitation, but it looks like by the end of the week, we have another storm system coming, and it is going to bring the possibility of more rain showers and also some snow showers. Here's a look at your planner for your Thursday. Temperatures start off pretty cold in the 20s, but sunshine will push through much of the day, and then highs will be close to around 50 degrees. We drop back down into the low 40s by late afternoon, and then into the 30s by the early evening hours. But overall, it looks like it's going to be a very dry and a very sunny day, and it's going to be not all that bad. But then this weekend, another trough of low pressure starts to drop southward, and again, it is going to bring the possibility of some snow, maybe a wintry mix mixing in with that, but it is definitely going to get colder by the weekend, so get ready for that. Our future radar is showing quiet weather for the next 12 hours, but notice by the afternoon into the evening hours on Thursday, clouds will start to increase out ahead of our next low pressure system that will be moving in. And then around 6 o'clock in the morning, there will be some snow showers scattered across our area. Not a lot in our viewing area though, and then moving throughout the day. It looks like some snow showers mixing in with rain could be possible through your lunchtime. And then in the afternoon, it's going to be the same situation where we're going to see the possibility of an isolated shower or a rain-snow mix that will be riding through our area. And then most of this activity will be moving out early on Saturday. It looks like a lot of cloud cover though, so it looks like it's going to be a dreary ending, a cloudy ending to our week. But here's a look at your forecast. Breezy conditions for the next couple of hours, but most of that wind will be calming down. Temperatures dropping down into the mid to upper 20s. Tomorrow, highs will be in the upper 40s. Some of you might even see a 50 degree or so on your thermometer, but southwest wind will bring a little bit warmer conditions for your Thursday. Then another cold front comes in. Those clouds will start to increase. We're talking about a few isolated showers or a rain shower could be possible, or even some snow. Temperatures around 45 degrees, but it gets quite cold by the end of the week. We do have the possibility of occasional rain and snow mix on Saturday, but take a look at those temperatures on Sunday and Monday. Our highs will only be in the low to mid 30s. Overnight lows will be down into the 20s. It looks like the cold air will stick around through much of next week.
We know that anyone can get coronavirus, even a 19-month-old baby. A family from New York didn't know what was wrong with their toddler until a second COVID test came back positive. Doug Emblige has their story.
Henry's mom says her toddler is a Spitfire.
He loves running around and playing. So when he woke up and all he wanted to do was lay on me, his eyes are bloodshot red, and he's pale as a ghost. I said, I got to take him to the pediatrician.
That was in early October. Something was wrong, but Chrissy and Andy, both nurses, never thought it might be COVID. And that first COVID test at the pediatrician's office came back negative. But Henry wasn't getting better and ended up at Golisano Children's Hospital, Mom with him 24/7.
And as they're going through and reading us his labs, our first thought is, oh my goodness, like he has some sort of a cancer. He has a blood cancer.
8 days in, still no diagnosis until a second COVID test came back positive.
I was relieved on Saturday when I found out it was COVID because we were like, what is causing this?
But Henry was also diagnosed with something called MIS-C, multi-inflammatory syndrome associated with COVID. Mom and Dad's relief now followed by uncertainty. And they hope their story, Henry's story, sends a message.
All I can say is it's proof that it can happen to anyone. Anything it can happen to any age. And then we have to deal with it for long term.
It's not like the flu. It's not a simple virus that just goes away. There's long-term effects to it that you don't know what they are down the road, but they're presenting themselves now. And we'll learn about it as it continues. I'd like to not be the guinea pig to it, but if we're going to be, then I'd like to at least be able to educate others.
It's been an impressive year for Bitcoin. Earlier this week, the cryptocurrency hit a major milestone, surging 9%, a new all-time high. Mandy Gaither has a closer look at what's behind the hike.
Has crypto gone legit? With big gains this 2020, the days of Bitcoin being considered just a fringe investment may be over. On Monday, Bitcoin hit a new all-time high of just under $20,000.
The valuation of cryptocurrency is virtually unlimited. We may have a $1 million Bitcoin someday.
That extreme rise may be years away, but it's been a wild year even for Bitcoin, which has traditionally been volatile. It soared more than 175% since the end of 2019. In March, prices dropped below $4,000 as the COVID-19 economic crisis impacted global markets. But then Bitcoin rallied sharply the past few months as the dollar weakened, pushing cryptocurrencies into the mainstream. The amount of Bitcoin currently in circulation is now worth more than $365 billion. And Bitcoin investors say that number is likely to soar even higher.
Historically, the demand has steadily increased exponentially almost. And the supply is still the same. Every 10 minutes, only 12.5 Bitcoin can be created. So if more and more people want that 12.5 Bitcoin, the value of that Bitcoin is going to increase.
Payment giants PayPal and Square are now allowing people to buy and sell Bitcoin, and Fidelity Money Management is launching a fund for wealthy investors.
A Rhode Island artist is hoping to spread cheer this season with his holiday murals. Sam Reed reports.
Paul Morse of East Providence absolutely adores art.
It's fun, man. I enjoy it.
In the 6th grade, he learned graffiti.
Trains, planes, automobiles, everything. I've done it all.
And as a kid, he had some run-ins with the law.
I never got in big trouble for it, but my parents had to pay a few fines.
But now, if you ask his parents what they think, they'd say something like this.
I'm very proud of him. I'm very happy for him.
Paul only does commission work now and loves to spray paint. So for this holiday season, along Vincent Avenue, he's masterminded this mural.
I did Santa first.
A Christmas display.
Did him.
To make kids in his nearby neighborhood and schools.
And I did him on Sunday.
Smile.
The COVID, they got to go for the walks. So they come up the street and they all stop right there and they come down and take pictures because I'm always changing it.
At Halloween, he painted this.
I love it. It's self-expression.
To keep spirits high, he's keeping the tradition going.
People drive by, they stop when I'm painting a beep, waving the horn, and people come by, hey, can we take a picture in front of it?
Best of all, this Christmas canvas isn't even his. His elderly neighbor gave him the green light to use the back of her garage.
She knows I've been doing murals forever. And then one day we were just out here cooking on the grill. And I was looking over, I was like, you know what? I should go ask Julie if I can paint on her garage.
Paul recently learned some students at surrounding schools are intrigued by his art, giving them a sense of self is what he hopes to do.
I'm willing to give classes for free. I don't even want to charge them.
Spotify has released its 2020 Wrapped list of the most popular streamed music. Rapper Bad Bunny took the #1 spot with more than 8.3 billion streams, followed by Drake, Latin star J Balvin, the late rapper Juice WRLD, and The Weeknd rounding out the top 5. For the second year in a row, Billie Eilish was Spotify's most streamed female artist. The most streamed song of the pandemic year was Blinding Lights by The Weeknd. A man walks into a bar. Sounds like the opening line to a joke, right? But it's not. It's a story you won't soon forget. Emily Hamilton has the tale of the tip. It's a story you'll definitely be talking about.
A drink on draft will typically cost you just a few bucks.
He's like, hey Heather, would you ring me up for a beer?
But this customer wasn't looking for a buzz.
He literally took 2 small sips out of it, signed his check, and left.
Instead, he was looking to give back to a restaurant fighting to survive.
It's going to be a hard winter in the restaurant business. He put it down next to me and he wished me well and said, share this with your staff.
This tip, far more than the standard 20% for good service.
And I quickly glanced down and it looked like a $300 tip. And I go, wow, that's a nice tip for a guy that just had a beer. And then I put my reading glasses on and I went, my eyes almost popped out of my head.
$3,000 for Brendan Ring to share with his Nighttown staff just ahead of the holiday season.
One girl point blank didn't believe it. She was staring at it and she said, no, that's not real.
Heather Sando poured the drink, unaware of what would follow.
It really does restore your faith in mankind. You don't see things like this every day.
She says that customer's kind gesture is indicative of the character of loyal customers who have dined at Nighttown for the last 25 years.
It's not all about money. I think personally it's more about the gesture that was made and the unselfishness that was demonstrated.
And as Ring closes the doors to his business for the foreseeable future, he's reflecting on the parting words of generosity from the unexpected customer.
We'll be back. We'll see you on the other side of this. And here's a little something extra to get you along.
We want to leave you with a smile tonight. He's making his list. He's checking it twice. Santa Claus is preparing for his worldwide trek on Christmas, and you can follow him. The North American Aerospace Defense Command has launched its website to track St. Nick around the world this year. NORADSanta.org has your holiday countdown, games, music, and more. Then on Christmas Eve, Santa cams will start streaming. The tradition started in 1955 when the Continental Air Defense Command Operations Center started receiving calls from kids asking for Santa. It turns out a newspaper ad listed the wrong number for the North Pole. Thanks so much for joining us. We hope to see you back here tomorrow. Good night.